Good evening, everyone, and here we go again. For the second straight night, protesters are filling the streets of downtown Louisville. Tonight, things began about 7 o'clock. As opposed to last night, just a few dozen people in front of the Metro Hall location. This began with a march of several hundred people that has now grown into a group larger than what we had last night.
And this started very peacefully around 4 o'clock. Actually, we've had a few different protests throughout the day, but this has now become another tense situation. Police arrived, I'd say less than an hour ago, already deploying some tear gas. Let's go straight to our Chad Mills right now.
And guys, let's give you the story of the night so far.
Like you said, Chad is in his live shot right now. Chad is in his live shot.
Do we have banners and all that?
They're at the bottom of the show.
Bottom of the show, Melhorn.
I'll drag them to the top.
We're going to drag them to the top.
Fifth Street.
All right, ME2B.
Right by Metro Hall.
Other side of Metro Hall. You have Kentucky State Police.
What's in the small box?
Put
Live view 2.
I'm bringing the supers up to the very top.
Dissolve.
Already. Let's give you a little bit of a narrative of what happened tonight.
Supers are at the top of the rundown.
Supers are at the top of the rundown.
And speaking.
There's live and speaking. Stand by Live View 3.
Into downtown, ending at Metro Hall, holding a news conference. There on the steps of City Hall, and they talked about Breonna Taylor. They talked about the need for justice. They talked about what they wanted.
Dissolve.
And other city leaders. Then they said,
Give me a speaking, Chad Mills.
They're going to go home. Some of them stayed, needless to say, and others were already down here. Others joining in, others coming in right now. We're going to get back a little bit because the tear
I'm not
gas
sure.
is pretty
Go back to live.
Where do you want
Stand by Live View. Stand by ME2B.
Banners, yeah, just put everything there.
Keep with it. Give us a moment here.
Keep with it, yep.
Some strong stuff.
At the top of the rundown, supers, can you watch this coverage and give me updated banners?
Dissolve.
Yeah, we're going to be in here. We're going to be in here.
Bubba, you all right?
So I'm going to get more about the
We're good, guys. We're good.
rundown. I think the newscast is going to be window. All right, thanks.
Stay with it.
Slow down, okay.
Live View 3 audio.
Okay.
Guys, give us just a second.
Guys, be on standby. Chad got tear gassed. He's regrouping himself right now, but we're going to stay with it for a second.
Do we need the anchors to talk over him for a second?
Dissolve.
So,
Speaking, Chad Mills, Super.
yeah, as we were saying,
Oh.
once they got back to
Yeah, keep
City
it.
Hall, that's when things started to spiral out of control. You had some people beating on the doors of the halls of justice, actually
Let's
making
get to the
entrance
2 box where
there.
you can see some other
Give me
stuff.
live bug only.
But now
Dissolve.
people disperse from this area, but we'll see where they regroup. Give us just a moment to recollect our breath.
Live View
here,
1
and we'll
starting
get
to come
back
in.
you just a second.
He just tossed out.
Anchors.
Mike the anchors, cue the anchors. Have them talk.
Chad Mills in downtown Louisville tonight, where he has been
I'm gonna
overcome
have
by
Fallon.
Stand by camera 2, Dissolve 2. Stand by
a
ME2A.
lot earlier than they did last
And
night. And pretty
You
much
guys are
the
clear
right
only
now.
presence we have seen in the Metro
Live
Hall
View
area
6 on the
so
top.
far is
Dissolve.
state police. There have been Metro police officers, members of that special response team
Stand by.
that he had pointed out in his Facebook Live.
We're going to go to Katrina next. Live View 5 is next.
Here, there, a clock tower, on the roofs of buildings, but nothing so far as far as actually confronting these protesters in the streets.
Right, and they have stood their ground. We want to go right back out to a live scene right now where we have our Katrina Helmer. Katrina?
Take.
Fallon and David, we're seeing the same thing. Not a lot
All right,
of police
ME2B.
officers lining the streets. We
Actually,
just heard another
ME1B.
flashbang, maybe some tear gas.
Have Live View
Social
six.
news desk on the top.
Metro Hall, and that's actually
Top
why
left.
we came around this way. That first round of tear gas that hit us, we had
We
to
could
make
use
our
that
way
4
behind
box.
some buildings.
Dissolve.
It burns in your eyes.
Perfect.
It gets stuck in your mask. You just feel your face burning at that point.
Yeah, it's like the air is invisible.
Give me
and all
Sarah
of a sudden
Sidery
it's
if
like
you have
you're
it.
hit with a wall. You're coughing, you can't breathe, your eyes are stinging. Everyone is just running for clean air.
Live
It's
only.
debilitating.
It is chaotic, and that's how we came around this way. And there was a group just minutes ago here, and trying to smash into LMPD headquarters, which is right behind us.
Just to let you know, I can't really hear you guys. I can't understand anything. Katrina and Sarah are talking right now. When they're done, I'm going to get them back.
Give me 3B. Give me live view 5 on the bottom. Live view 1 big.
From what was a peaceful protest
live view 1 big.
earlier this afternoon.
Right, and
all right, stand by live view 5 full.
At least does feel,
dissolve live view 5.
Stand
by ME 3B.
You guys do a little quick banter, talk it up, and then you'll go to Lawrence Smith.
Dissolve. Give me a banner back if you got one.
You know, to our knowledge, there weren't any
stand by dissolve
that we saw,
live view 3 in the big box.
Seeing some people throwing some bottles at us right now. But
stand by live view 5 full.
Start to
dissolve live view 5.
Fireworks, break glass at the Hall of Justice as well.
Yes, the fireworks.
Put live view 3 in the big box.
In the basement door that kind of leads into the building. That's where a lot of visitations happen. Maybe they thought it was.
Put live view 2 in the big box.
There was also a flash. When you walked up to the sidewalk, it looked like there was some sort of
dissolve
that was left over. Who knows at that point? We were trying to keep that as much as possible, but even before then, we were both up on the steps of the Hall of Justice when we saw a paint can tipped over, and at least for me, that
live view 1 in the big box.
A little bit. At least that kind of started the snowball.
Can we dissolve it?
Now.
Go ahead.
But they tipped the can of red paint, stuck their hands in it, stuck it up on the windows. They were also trying to smash through into the glass windows. We're starting to see more police lights. That was the prison transport unit for LMPD that went by us, but
stand by live view 5 full.
Trucks every now and then, not lines.
Dissolve live view 5 full. Stand by ME 1B under.
At least from our location, at least we have not
dissolve.
Seen the police in their riot gear. We from our location did not see any interaction with the crowd because of the tear gas kept us away from that point. But at the Halls of Justice as well, just before we got there, our photographer Jonathan saw groups climbing up the flagpoles, taking the flags down. He said he saw them burning them, trying to knock over the flagpoles, but they were unable to do so because I think they were
stand by live view 3.
And this is kind of the point we got to.
Stand by live view 2.
Well, where things were
dissolve live view 2.
ME
2B.
Escalated, and whatever that language is, when you're in a big crowd, you always feel the vibe, and it shifts. It does. It shifts
dissolve.
In a second or in a moment, and
12. Fuck 12. It's something to do with.
We saw a crowd of people
Page.
rush away.
Call Nally. Page Nally.
6th Street. We're getting kind of confused.
We've been moving around so much. We're living near Metro Hall, near the jail, Hall of Justice. Everything seems to be mostly focused in that general area. People will disperse, and then it seems like that kind of is the meeting point of sorts.
Yes. And again, from last night,
stand by ME 1B.
Actually,
stand by live view 5.
Breonna Taylor's family, city leaders,
dissolve live view 5. Stand by ME 1B.
Out and saying, this is not what we want.
ME 3B.
We don't want damage to property. This is not the way
dissolve.
This is detracting and taking away from the
anchors
and I think it's important to note too that some of the organized out here earlier were saying over their megaphones, there's no need to have any violence, no need to have any shooting tonight. We are just out here to let the police know that this kind of behavior they say is not going to be tolerated any longer. The protester who he was leaving the scene along with us because of the tear gas, and he just expressed frustration, saying, I haven't gotten violent tonight. I'm going to be out here every night until I see justice.
And we're going to continue moving
We're probably going to be staying here the whole time.
We can see bringing you as many live pictures as
dissolve.
Stand
by ME 2A. Take.
All right, thank you guys. And like they've been saying, quite a volatile scene out there right now. A lot of that focus towards
on
the
ME
Hall of
3B.
Justice.
Put camera 2 small.
The American flag, the city of Louisville
stand by
flag
2
taken
full.
Down, started on fire.
Dissolve. Stand by camera 2 full. Dissolve 2. Stand by ME 3B. I need camera 2 small.
Being thrown off there. Just a lot of
and then live view 3 big.
Area at this time.
Dissolve live view 3 or dissolve ME.
Thank you. Much bigger group than what we saw last
camera
night.
2 push in, please.
It was that way until actually not that long ago. This had been building and building and building into a group of about 300 or 400 people who about 7 o'clock
live view 3 audio
moving from Metro
for Nats
down 6th Street, and then they took a turn at Liberty which is where Metro Corrections is located. There was some bagging on some doors there,
yes.
but that was it.
Stand by Live U3 full. Who are we going to?
And then they went
Who are we going to next?
Lawrence,
and
Live U2.
what's going to happen here? Some people went up on the ramp right in front of
Dissolve.
the entrance there and were shouting and down onto an enormous throng of people
Yes.
that had gathered down on the street at that point, but still no actual violence.
Stand by ME2B.
And went up to Jefferson, took a turn to the Hall of Justice, and things started really getting ugly there. It seemed almost like a new element started entering into this and trying to incite things that hadn't happened up until that point. That's like you're saying, that's when we started seeing some fires and things like that.
Yeah, and you wonder what that turning point is. We have seen protesters moving, walking around. We saw the line of
Stand by
police
ME3B.
standing around out there. We want to head back out and talk to WDRB.
Stand by ME2B.
Lawrence.
Dissolve ME2.
Stand
by Live U3 with Lawrence's name. Live U2.
From the main group down
Dissolve.
to the Hall of Justice, this group is moving east.
It's all right.
on
Hold it
Chestnut
and then go back to the banner.
This now passing.
Go back to the banner.
They're chanting as they go.
Okay,
I heard this chant, say her name, Breonna Taylor. Every time they pass
Stand by
an
4 box,
intersection, you
ME3,
hear
ME1B.
horns honking.
Put
Yeah, right now Lawrence is talking.
social news desk. Actually, it works.
I'm just gonna go straight to you. So when you hear me say go, you go. It'll be from Lawrence.
They were gathered closer to the core protest.
Hey,
around 6.
Live U3 in the top right.
Lawrence is done.
Live U3 top right.
When Lawrence is done, we're just gonna go right to chat.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, where they're
Trying to get a
going,
tear gas,
we have no
live,
idea. But we
super
have
banner,
seen
any-
Go ahead.
no
Tear
police
gas.
presence here yet.
Dissolve.
No sign of any tear gas. It's been a peaceful march so far.
What? Where have you been, Lawrence?
Along the way, they have
It's my Live
few
U3.
have stopped to write graffiti on walls and on buildings, things like
Dissolve.
that. But there's been no violence with this
I
group.
like that 4 box though too.
Again, I've seen no police
Is there any way we
presence.
can make it a little bit smaller?
Let's
And
go
they're
to 4 box. Let's go to
walking
4 box.
to
My
There's
4
no
box.
presence.
Dissolve 4 box.
Broken off from the larger group of protesters
Hey,
downstairs.
stand by, guys.
You're fine.
Downtown.
I have Lawrence toss to
And
you.
now heading east on Broadway. They seem to be picking up
I
people
got it.
as they go
Chad, we
along.
gotta go back to that.
It's my Live U3. Dissolve Live U3.
They may turn back towards
Toss to chat.
the downtown area,
I think
but
they're
we
getting
don't know exactly
I need to listen.
when or where. Right now,
Stand by
they're
ME3,
marching
ME2B.
east on this street.
Got it.
Dissolve.
Our crew is about to get
Getting
gassed on Live
support
U3.
from people as they cross
Live U3, they're
intersections,
running.
blowing their horns,
Chip, we
encouraging
can't go
them
to
on.
chat, but take the
But again,
Facebook
no
Live. Can we
police
take the
presence.
Facebook
Stand by
Live?
social news
Chat.
desk. I mean, Live. There's Chad right there on the left side. That's Chad right there on the left
So
side.
now let's toss it back to Chad.
Go, Chad,
And-
go.
I don't think Chad
Stand by Live U3. Dissolve Live
So
U3.
we are here at Liberty.
Speaking
Exit
Chad.
Right now we're just moved down the sidewalk by LMPD.
You guys are clear.
shooting
Keep
some
walking.
Tear gas,
Consider
some
your
of those,
shot
pellets
active
that-
and hot.
paintball guns that have some either pepper spray or tear gas.
So
in them.
ME1B.
A lot of protesters in this area.
Can we
They were kind of
shrink them all
splintered
just
for
a little
minute or
bit?
two, but now,
Are you able to do that?
They are forming up again. Just
Is there any way to bring up the audio in
right
here a
now.
little bit?
Can you bring
after
control
the,
room audio up?
Just a little.
Tear gas, but,
Just a hair, please.
You can see, many of them have umbrellas. I saw a
And
guy
then
with a
push them together. I
piece of
just need it to be
plywood
lifted up a little
trying to
bit.
fend off those canisters
Yes,
or pellets
for now.
that LMPD is sending in this direction. Again, we're right next to the Hilliard Lions
You get that
building.
tweet, Chad. Let's get back to the 4
on
box.
Stand by ME2B real quick. Put Live
You guys
U1
okay? You good?
on the
Going back
right.
earlier tonight, over the halls of justice,
Okay.
we watched as the protesters
Dissolve.
tore down the
Work on
American
Chad
your
is
flag.
four
talking now.
box.
Eventually, we're
and
going to
the
get back to
Louisville
you.
Taking,
Feel free to
I
keep
think it
walking
was
and
a
talking.
can
You don't
of
have to
spray
stay
paint.
still and talk.
Sometimes
If you want to stay still, that's
holding a lighter
fine.
up
But
to
you're
it
more than
and
welcome just to walk and
torching
talk
those
if you need
flags,
to.
putting them on the ground, stomping on them, some people
me,
even
give us
spitting
scene
on
though,
those
not
flags.
Yeah,
and
let's
taking
see
out
the
arrests.
scene.
Stand by Live
I
U3
want to
full.
see the scene that you guys are seeing versus you guys.
Dissolve Live
We can
U3.
start on you guys, but let's
Work on
let's
your
see the
box.
scene.
Just move it up and you got it. Butt it up to the news.
Because we are using your shot like right now, so let's see the scene, let's see everything.
You might hear are the little pellets of tear gas or pepper spray
stay
that
with
they are
this.
shooting
Let's stay with it.
in our direction. Give us a moment to regroup here and find some cover.
There you go. That's
So
better.
the protesters are moving across Liberty at
Stand by
this point.
ME2B.
Now the story of the night has been kind of
Live
a
U5 on the
splinter
right.
of all of the protests. There is a sizable group right here, but it seems there are groups across downtown right now.
Let's take the 4 shot
last
next.
Stand by
night,
Emmy
one
1B.
big group of protesters.
Dissolve.
Another theme of tonight too is just how early all of this has popped up. Last night it was maybe 11 o'clock or so before we saw really tear gas, pepper spray being deployed by LMPD. Tonight, obviously it started a little bit earlier. The number of protesters also greater tonight than it was last night. Of course, can't say that for certain, but just based on what we've seen out here, it's certainly
Stand by Live View 3 full. Dissolve Live View 3.
Whenever Chad is done, we're going to go straight to Katrina and Sarah. We're not going to go back to the anchors. Okay?
Which we'll just do 4 blocks.
Telling us they're born and raised in Louisville. They feel like they had to be here tonight to demand justice for their city after the killing of Breonna Taylor back on March 13th.
But we keep taking a 4 box.
We're going to stand by here on 5th and Liberty for as long as we're able. See what happens here. We'll send it back to you guys for now.
Dissolve.
And talking about those visitors
Mike the anchors.
coming to the city, our Stefan Johnson spoke with officials with the urban earlier today, and they were talking about these visitors. And they say for the people who live in Louisville, yes,
Stand by 2.
protest peacefully, have your voices heard. That's the way to go about doing this. But for the visitors coming in, they said try and convince them that this is our city. We still love and respect our city. So they're hoping that these visitors who wanted to join in on this protest for justice for Breonna Taylor, that they still respect the city, and hopefully we don't see quite as much vandalism. I know we've already seen some today, specifically at the Hall of Justice, like Chad Mills was just talking about there.
Yeah, and
Stand by Live View 3 full.
State police
Dissolve Live View
officers,
3.
about
Stand by
50
Emmy
of them
3B.
have been dispatched to downtown Louisville tonight. The only place that I have seen them
Dissolve.
has been in
Stand by to
front of
Hot
Central
Punch
Hall,
1
where I
with
believe
David,
they're still
small.
stationed just right next to each other.
Stand by 1. Take 1.
That area tonight. The earlier police presence tonight comes after Metro Council President.
Katrina, you guys will be next. Right now, William, David, and Fallon talk a little, and then you guys will be next.
Been there earlier.
Stand by
a lot
2.
of what happened last night maybe could have
when
been
you guys
avoided,
are wrapped up
but
and
now,
done, I want you to
certainly
toss
they were
directly to
much more
Lawrence
ready
Smith. You'll toss
for,
directly to
Take
Lawrence
2
Smith
in the
when
small.
you're done.
Tonight with the state police presence at Metro Hall, and then we see the special
I doubt
response
we'll go to
team
weather at
that
some
is,
point, right?
already organized.
What?
We're not going to go to weather at all.
I can't imagine we will.
Yeah, I can't imagine we would go to weather.
It was a bit later, but
Stand by 1.
again, it was a much bigger crowd
Yep,
earlier
take 1.
in the evening than last night, and they were very civil, very passionate, very
Stand by Live View
vocal,
3
but
full.
incredibly civil. And then as
Dissolve
they
Live
came
View 3.
around to the Hall of Justice, it seems like something just happened right there. As if they
Stand by
met
Emmy
up
2B.
with some sort of element that was just destined to try to incite this thing to a much higher level than it had been so far.
And this protest has been much
Stand by
more
Emmy
mobile
1B.
than last night's. Everyone kind of stuck in the same place, but throughout the evening and
put
into tonight,
Live
we've just been
View
walking around the Hall of Justice, Metro
3
Hall,
top
City
left.
Hall,
Actually, no, we're
LMPD
already there.
headquarters. So just more
Stand by 2
mobile
dissolve.
and just
Stand by.
expanding to
Dissolve.
a larger part of the city. Let's go right back out to Katrina Helmer.
Live View 5 audio, Live View 5. Stand by Live View 5 full.
Fallon and David, we have moved
Dissolve.
down to 6th and Jefferson. What you're looking at right now is a line of
Lawrence
protesters.
and Doug right
you're
now, Katrina
absolutely
and
right.
Sarah
Things
are
happen
talking.
in Louisville
Katrina
that's
and
kind of
Sarah
hard
are
to
talking.
keep track of
They will
what
toss
group is
directly
matching
Stand by
another
Emmy
group.
2B.
You, as
Where he's
always.
going where up the street,
Put Live View
and that's
2
where
in the
the line
left.
of police officers are. You see lights, and that's where every now and then we hear a little pop, 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 and it's probably those pellets every now
Put
and
Live
then.
View
that
3
they shoot.
top
It's
left
not
on the
tear
left.
gas, but it's trying to
Live View
deter a crowd at that point. And joining me right now is Sarah. Sarah,
Give me a
what are you
banner.
seeing as well?
Yeah, we're seeing the crowd that we saw just an hour ago has
Dissolve.
dwindled significantly out here. There's about, as you can see, about maybe half of a block in between the line of protesters and the police. Everything is peaceful right now. We're hearing chants of no justice, no peace. We did just hear
Live View
Live
3.
View, Live View, yeah. Dissolve.
flashbang or tear gas. It's hard to tell right now, but police have still not moved from their line. I'm also joined now by Scott Reynolds. Scott, what have you been seeing out here?
We have a speaking,
Well, I did
Scott
see
Reynolds.
as I came into this, a lot of people were going away from it, and that felt good. That was at about 9:30,
Dissolve back.
walking up 6th Street toward Ali and beyond. What we're seeing here is a crowd that you have said is thinning.
We're working on
I
it.
think police could not be happy.
Stand by Live View 5 full. Dissolve Live View 5.
We will not tolerate violence. We will not tolerate destruction. And we will not tolerate people getting injured. And at this point, the worst I'm seeing as I walk around here with you guys, the pepper spray balls, we're seeing some tear gas. It's mostly vulgar anti-police graffiti, and it is everywhere. But I think LMPD and the city and the mayor would be happy if that's the worst that comes out of tonight after 7 people getting shot last night.
And now you can
give me the banner.
The line of protesters have started to hold up signs, banners that say "Enough is enough," and that is their sentiments out here. When we talk to people, they said. It looks like there's some cheering. Oh, we got another line of protesters moving in right now. Yeah, more crowds are going to be joining those who are here up at the front line.
And this seems to be the story all night, is that we're following groups that seem to have been pulling apart, coming back together, pulling apart.
Yeah, ME2B, give me Live View 6. Or Live View 2. Left. Live View 2 left. Dissolve.
They are here for peaceful reasons, and then others get involved that are trying to stir up energy and to stir up different sentiments. And then other groups come back and say, no, this is peaceful, that is the point. And that's what we're looking at right now, where it seems groups that have been spread out all over the city are starting to mill about.
To my Live View 5.
Yeah, perhaps some of the tear gas that originally deterred people
No, he's talking about Live View.
Blocks away, and perhaps
now
are coming back to join the rest of everyone else right now.
Which is making it difficult to understand exactly how many people are here.
It is. When you see these different globs of people, these packs of people moving in, that had to be at least 300 or 400 that just came up toward us here on 6th Street. And I know that they've heard the police.
You guys keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. When you're done, you will go to Lawrence.
Destroyed.
Keep doing what
And
you're
more
doing.
action on the streets tonight. That's what they're trying to prevent here. They're chanting, they're gathering and blocking traffic. But Katrina, I would say at this point, it doesn't seem to be heavily confrontational with the police back there. They seem to be happy staying here, keeping their distance, maybe 150 yards away.
And at this point, from what we can tell, we have not seen police.
Can we go $4?
Stand by ME1B.
Other than, again, maybe a few
Dissolve.
pepper balls or tear gas going out into the crowd. But that is it so far. And I want to toss it over to Lawrence right
Stand
now.
by Live View 2.
Give us another perspective
Lawrence. Stand by
on
Live
what
View 2
he's
audio.
seeing right now in the city. Lawrence.
Go, 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 go.
Dissolve.
Guys, we are still walking with
Give me Lawrence.
Make sure you keep
That's fine, that's fine, it's
We're
fine.
now responsible for him,
We
too.
just
Keep him near
came
you.
north on 1st Street, and now we're
Give me
headed
banner.
back east
Stand by
on
ME2B
Broadway.
with Live View 3
Again,
on the right.
This part of the
Lawrence,
protest is
we'll go back to Anchors
although
after
they
Lawrence.
are blocking traffic on this major thoroughfare in
After Lawrence is
Louisville.
done, we'll
They're
go back
just
to you guys.
chanting. Occasionally we'll stop
What
to
time's those updates
mark
supposed to start?
graffiti somewhere. And this
By
does
the way,
seem highly
Jesse Halliday,
organized. For
LMPD, is
example,
going to provide
I've seen
updates
people
every, is it
passing
half
out
hour?
water.
Yes.
People on
Every half
bullhorns
hour,
stopping
every hour
them
and a lot of the hours. So
Every
trying to
hour.
stay on the sidewalk.
Every hour and a bottom hour, so
unsuccessfully,
10:30,
I might
11:30,
add,
etc.
but they're
We're not
walking
taking them
out
live,
east on
but
Broadway.
Live View
Jesse
5 on the
Halliday,
right.
LMPD will
We'll be
provide
able to
updates
destination is.
at 10:30,
And
11:30,
we've
so
not
on.
seen yet
Dissolve.
any sign of a police
Chad, Hobie, you
presence.
guys okay? All good?
Like, they see a
Okay.
blue light up there in the distance
Lawrence is
across
talking right
the
now.
road.
Lawrence will tell us back to the Anchors, and then we'll come to you eventually.
And now walking
Stand by Live View 5. Dissolve, or Live View 2. Stand by Live View 2. Dissolve Live View 2.
You hear the chanting around me about the outside presence.
It's not too busy. That's something I worry about with
Well,
too much shakiness.
It's
Only at its worst when all 4 cameras are shaking a lot.
Yeah.
But they're all walking.
Yeah, when there's an action, it's good.
So Live View 3 is
happening downtown. But this group so
What's
far
Live View
has
5?
been peaceful. All they're doing is blocking traffic as they walk. As I
Give me
mentioned
2B,
earlier,
put
that
Live View
occasionally as they
3
pass an
on the
intersection,
right.
People will blow their horns in
Give me
support
2
of
box
them.
of Live View 5.
But again, we've
Put Live
seen
View 5 on the
Oh,
right.
hang on,
no
hang on, hang
correspondence how
on.
this large
Clear
group
shot.
walks east on Broadway.
Put Live View.
So now back to you.
Who?
Anchors,
Hey, Mike the Anchors. Mike the Anchors. Mike the
Sarah
Anchors.
Sidery, Katrina Helmer, Scott Reynolds,
Stand by
and Chad
4 box.
Mills tonight spread out throughout downtown. As
And
are
dissolve
these
4 box.
protesters, obviously a much different scene than last night. when they all came
You guys are
together.
clear. Your shot is still hot.
Around
Nice
this time
job.
of
Keep
night
it up.
at Metro Hall, and then everything just absolutely went
It's in my
crazy.
live view 6.
They were not met with a police presence when they got there. Much different scene tonight. State police are guarding very well. It would appear Metro Hall location.
They're all
has really
mobile right
very
now.
much in
It
that
seems like.
spot. He had talked about
It's in my live
the
view
governor
3.
calling for peace. We have Breonna Taylor's family calling for peace. You would hope that
Dissolve
maybe
live view
that
3
had sunk in a
full.
little
Stand by
bit and
ME
people
3B.
are realizing,
Give me 2
what
shot.
exactly are we doing here
On the small.
What was that last
Dissolve.
night? That's not what we want to do. But certainly there.
Stand by to hot
people
punch.
who-
Live view 2.
Stand
by to dissolve live view 2. Dissolve. We'll come back to it.
Yeah, you're fine. I just didn't want that car to plow over people.
On the small, give me 1.
Sorry,
A
people.
little bit more than that ago, there was a pretty firm chain of protesters that had formed across Jefferson Street in front of the halls of justice, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And that may have something to do with the fact that there was some tear gas.
Take
being
2.
fired
Let
around.
Fallon talk a
That may
little.
have been able to disperse things, but pretty much tear gas is all we have seen the police use. Not much of the
Stand by 3.
or anything like that.
Right, and this also
Take 3.
is because they want, these protesters say they want justice for Breonna Taylor. They have said throughout their marches today that they want the officers involved in her case to be
Hey,
fired.
web team, if we can, let's
Mayor Brett
push
Fisher
and
addressed those
maybe even
concerns in a
text
public
Rod or
press
Masaki.
conference
Stand by live view
today.
2.
He said
Live on air.
the officers
and live,
cannot be fired in the same way
Live
that
view
the
2 full.
officers were fired in the George
Dissolve
Floyd
live view
case
2
in
full.
Minneapolis.
I know you
He
guys
says
just
that's
did it
because there was
recently. Maybe we can
video
do it 10:30,
evidence
11,
of
and we
that
can go
case
from there.
up there in
Live
Minneapolis. He
looks
says when it
good.
comes to the Breonna Taylor case, there is no video evidence. Those
ME2B,
officers
put live view
involved
5 on
in
the
that
right.
raid were not wearing body cameras. They were undercover officers.
Okay.
That policy
Dissolve.
has
We'll be coming to you guys
since
next. We'll
changed
be coming
now.
to you guys
The mayor's
next.
saying all sworn officers will be required to wear body cameras. He
push and
also
text.
addressed the fact that there are
Live
certain
on air
rules
and
and
live
regulations that
online
he
on a half
is
hour. So
legally
10:30, let's do
bound
it.
by.
Oh, they're over by Wave
So
now.
like police officers
To my live view
have to
6.
take the proper steps to go about
Live view 6 or
doing
live view 2?
this type of,
To my live view 2. Dissolve live view 2.
And that's the tough part of this. They want justice right now, and that is
Take
going
that
to
with the
take
2
some
box
time.
of Live View 5. I
What
told them to stop
we're going to have
moving.
to look at this incident.
We're ready.
Obviously, we're no body cameras, and there is a lot of uncertainty about exactly what happened. Police have their version. They say
Hey,
that
Lawrence
they were
and Doug, we're going to
pounding
come
on
out
that
to you
door,
next, actually, because I
even though
want
they
you to
had a no-knock
explain to
warrant.
everybody what
And
you're
they were
seeing. You're right in the
identifying
middle of
themselves,
it.
yelling that it was Metro Police, and Kenneth Walker and Breonna Taylor inside. Kenneth Walker saying
Lawrence
that they
Smith.
didn't.
Stand by
know who
live
was
view
coming
3.
in, and
Live
they
view 2
thought
will be
that they were
Lawrence Smith.
being
Put,
voted.
live view 3 on the.
We
Stand by
want to
ME2B.
get back to the streets of Louisville.
Put live view
and,
3 on the
we're
right.
going to go to Lawrence Smith right now with what is happening in his location.
Go,
Lawrence?
go, go.
Well,
Dissolve.
this briefly stopped at
Live view
Broadway
3's got
and
some
Floyd.
Yeah, 2
Gathered
bucks.
here
Okay,
for
we're
a
good.
few
We're good.
seconds.
Nice job, guys. Nice job.
It looked like someone was giving them instructions. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but they're now continuing their eastward march here on Broadway.
You guys be on standby right now.
Chanting as they
Lawrence is
go.
talking. He's with a group
Again, I
of
don't see
protesters.
police, although
I'll
I
have
hear
him
lots
toss
of
to you.
helicopters. I see lots of helicopters overhead. Watch out.
Where is Live View?
Doug,
What corner is that?
Blackbird Doug Smith.
Hilliard Lines, so that's
Stand by live view
We're
3.
marching
Fourth and
along.
Jeff.
I want to say aimlessly, but I assume someone knows where they're going. But
Stand by live view
they're
2.
blocking the street here at Broadway, chanting as they go.
Dissolve.
Horns blowing. I see lots of signs, lots of hashtag Breonna
We need to go
signs.
to Chad next.
People chanting her
I'm going
name.
to have Lawrence toss a
And
chat.
you can hear the commotion and the noise as they are passing by.
Toss to Chad when you're
People in
done.
cars
Chad
passing
when you're
by.
done.
People passing by showing their support by blowing their horns.
It's easy to do this because
We are now
them being,
approaching, I think, Preston
them being
Street.
live, they're going to hesitate. So they're hesitating.
Yeah,
when they hear
Preston
me.
Street. You see the signs there, Black Lives
feel like
Matter.
this is a-
One of the many signs that we're seeing these folks carrying, seeing the race
Just a
shift.
6-hour
We're
live
now
fucking
passing the
newscast
Norton
every
Health
night
Care
at 10.
Pavilion to my south, rather to my north. And this crowd is
Yeah, no
moving
kidding.
on.
Lawrence is getting his
I
steps
don't know if they're
in.
hoping to avoid police confrontation by
Come on. Toss to
being in
Chad.
motion this entire time, but I certainly am getting my steps in. That's for sure.
Chad Mills.
As again, it's peaceful. We're going to
Dissolve.
Chad Mills, who
Stand by live view 3.
knew where the core of this protest was.
As soon as we go to live view 3,
Chad,
give me
I
that
hope you're
speaking,
okay
Chad.
after getting hit by that tear gas.
Go, go, go.
Dissolve.
So we are back at Liberty and 5th, and things are starting to heat up here again. People, as I mentioned earlier, kind of using plywood, ducking behind that plywood as LMPD fires those little pellets of tear gas at them. Guy in the front saying, form a line right now, saying, form a line, trying to get the protesters left here to kind of gather, show their solidarity, group up together.
Stand by ME2A.
See if we can get just a little bit closer.
Put live view 3 big.
Deploys those canisters of tear gas or
Stand by
smoke.
2 dissolve.
You can see a diverse crowd of people right here
Dissolve.
right now.
Chad is done. Let's go back to Anchors, and then we'll go to Katrina and Sarah after that.
Earlier, but,
That looks really good, Chad.
no real serious outburst of violence here at this Louisville intersection. People demanding justice for Breonna Taylor. You can see that on many of the signs. Many here, because of that case, but expressing their anger in a larger sense at the police and the inequities they see between the African American community and the police department here in Louisville and other police departments across the country.
Stand by live view 3 full.
Front, we have seen much more graffiti.
So once Chad is talking now,
on the top
back
right,
to the Anchors, they're going to do their thing, and then we'll come back out to
give me
you
live
guys.
view 1.
Some of the buildings in this area
Top
have
right,
been freshly spray painted as well.
Stand by live view 3
Earlier today,
full.
the mayor saying that officers were going to let the protesters do as much peaceful protest as possible, only using force when people are being threatened with violence, police are being threatened with violence, or there's a serious destruction of property. The mayor mentioning how forgiving the police were last night, even taking water bottles, things like that, not shooting the tear gas or canisters of pepper spray at people while they were taking hits from water bottles, etc. Mayor saying it was only after those shots were fired at Metro last night that police had to respond with heavier tactics.
They estimated 1,200
Stand by live view 3 full. Dissolve live view 3 full.
KSP is out here. They have certainly helped LMPD with their numbers, forming a really solid square there next to Metro Hall. For a while, it looked like they were surrounded by protesters, but KSP brought in its armored unit and really helped back up many of the protesters pretty successfully.
Stand by ME2B. Live view 3 on the left.
You know, as you guys have hit on, the groups
live view 2 on the right.
Large crowds, mostly peaceful
all over downtown. You have little pocket protests all over downtown as well. But so far, kind of a holding pattern here. You see some people up there kind of yelling at the police, trying to have some dialogue, or maybe just throwing some insults at the police. But no tussles or anything like that. Last night we saw a little bit of shoving with the batons. There hasn't been too much of that where we are at this point. But we are going to continue to monitor things here, and we'll send it back to you guys.
Mike Yankers. Mike Yankers.
We haven't seen much tear gas in the last few minutes.
Stand by live view 3. Dissolve live view 3.
I've seen this in this video. People are running around with drugs,
ME3B.
maybe some baking soda. They have this to help
Put live view
the
3.
effects of that tear gas to
Stand by
minimize
4
the
box.
effects. And you may have seen people wearing goggles too, along with face
Dissolve.
coverings. They probably learned from last night. They came prepared for the tear gas. And
Chad, just to let you know, we are still using your Facebook Live as one of the shots that we continuously use.
And you're hesitant to jump to the conclusion that this is going to continue this way after what happened last night. We had the group at 2nd and Main that confronted the police officers, and you thought something was going to go down there, and then all of a sudden they just left, and then we saw what happened about an hour later.
Stand by live view 2.
An enormous crowd. We saw shots
Dissolve.
fired in front of Metro
Stand by
Hall.
ME3B.
You just wonder, like, is there some group out there that's like some core group that's getting together right now and saying, okay, this is what
Stand by
we're gonna
ME2.
do, get ready to go at such and such a time, or has this just turned into a much different type of an atmosphere than what we saw last night, because we have such a large police presence?
Dissolve.
Maybe people are having some second thoughts.
My live view 3 full.
They didn't have last night after what happened. It's like, this is our city. What are we doing to our city? But obviously we have also
Can we have live view 1 in one of the boxes?
Causing some kind of vandalism out there tonight at the halls of justice with the spray paint.
Stand by ME2A.
Some windows in the lower.
We've got it there
door.
on the top right.
Again, but we saw some armed officers in there who did not move on those people, did not take action against those people.
Put social news desk on the bottom right.
Chad was saying, is certainly to their credit, They last night took a lot of abuse from these protesters and only moved when those shots started firing. And tonight, you know, we're certainly seeing a huge police presence, but other than some tear gas and a couple of flashbangs, we're not seeing them take much action against these protesters. And the protesters are becoming peaceful for most of the evening so far.
Right, and
it's about a hot punch live
U5
right
top right. With that strong line of officers right there. That is 5th and Liberty. Not too many protesters in that area right now.
Oh, they just threw something. Stand by live view 3.
Right up there.
Okay, he's trying to tell them to stop.
Faces. It looks like they're telling more people what to do, trying to make a plan of some type. And just heard a loud bang there. We want to go back out to our Katrina Helmer.
Stand by live view 5. Stand by live view 5.
Yeah, Fallon, we just heard that loud
Dissolve,
bang.
give me Katrina Helmer.
Until then, it has been very quiet.
ME2B.
I'm with Scott right now.
Give me live view 5 on the left.
Again, we've been talking about
live view 3 on the right.
We were so concerned about 10 minutes ago when
we need Jonathan needs to turn his gain up on his picture. He needs to turn his picture gain up. He needs to turn his gain up on his video.
Now, like Katrina, we have about a couple hundred people here, maybe a little more than that, who've moved within about 30 yards of this police line at 5th and Jefferson. We've seen some intermittent pepper spray balls being fired, but it's really a stare down right now.
Tell him to go to
look at the crowd. It's a diverse crowd, but I would say it's
hey, Jonathan, turn your gain all the way up. It'll look fine.
Years old, activists who are here to send a message. The flashbangs continue. Only a few young women and a couple of men have moved up closer to within 10 or 15 yards of the police. The rest are standing about 30 to 40 yards away.
Dissolve.
So if this is all it is a stare down, we will end up with good results here tonight, but we don't know what's going to happen.
On top right, put live view
on us intermittently here too, trying to keep an eye on what's
6.
Here
top right, put live view 6.
Seen over the last 10 minutes or so how kind of this line of police officers has shifted. They were at one point just sidewalk to sidewalk, and then we saw them kind of fill out into the
grass social news desk,
getting closer and closer to Metro Hall.
Stand by live view 5.
We saw just shift by shift, people were kind of walking up with those signs, getting closer and closer, inching closer and closer to LMPD officers, and they're here. And now we're hearing another group farther around the corner with a megaphone coming in to join again, possibly. And that seems to be the story of the night, as people have been walking around the blocks, joining different groups, coming and facing off with the police officers. And from what we have seen, police officers
ME2A, put live view 5B.
At all with any of the protesters, again, other than
social news desk top, no, live view 1 top right.
Stand
by 2 dissolve.
To try and move people back. And now we're starting to hear the chants again. No justice,
dissolve.
No peace. They're calling for Breonna Taylor's name and to honor her, and that is the message of the night.
It is, and we saw last night police didn't engage until those shots were fired and 7 people got hit by gunfire. They did not engage. They stood their ground, and just as they were getting pelted by rocks and water bottles, they didn't respond. That's what we're seeing here, and you're right.
Police officers holding the line banner.
From City Hall all the way across here to the Baird Building on 5th and Jefferson. It's wall-to-wall police across the street now. There's nowhere to get through. We're seeing the protesters move in a little closer. It was 100 yards. It was 50 yards. It's 30 yards. They've now moved into within probably 15 yards of the police line. Just milling about, taking a lot of pictures. You see a lot of that. Folks trying to capture videos and pictures, maybe going live on different various social media platforms. But at this point, it doesn't seem like an agitated crowd that really wants to
dissolve.
Get into a
Stand by live view 1.
Would you agree?
And what we're hearing right now, too, are the choppers overhead, and those have been
ME2B, put live view 1 on the right.
Since 5 o'clock, maybe, and we saw
live view 5 on the right then. That's fine.
Choppers.
Dissolve.
And we know that KSP said that they would be coming in to help LMPD monitor the situation.
Good job, Mason.
We know KSP has a chopper of their own. We think we saw one of those up with the LMPD chopper just to keep an eye on things. We've seen the light kind of shine down onto the roof, onto blocks every now and then, just to give police an idea of what everything looks like. And as we're getting closer and closer to the police line,
Stand by live view 5.
Well, I'm seeing that they're now within 10 yards. Can we get
Dissolve.
a shot down here?
Dissolve.
Can we get a
Dissolve.
shot straight down the line here? As excuse me, sir. We're just trying to see how close they've gotten now. You can see they are within 10 yards.
I know
They are really
Jonathan won't iris up properly.
We are not seeing water.
I wouldn't tell him to do that.
And I think Katrina, those helicopters
How the
are
fuck are we
also
supposed to see the shot?
I know. That's why I told him to turn his gain up to -12.
I think he said his game was all the way up.
His iris might be all the way up, but I don't think his gain is.
And it's probably a good distraction as well. But the crowd of a
You
few
see how
hundred
I would not do
has
that.
definitely moved up now within 10 yards of the officers.
And it's going to kill his
We're
battery.
not seeing objects flying toward them like we did last night. Have you seen any?
I have not seen any objects flying other than when we were a few blocks away.
Doesn't really
There were water bottles here and there. But other than that, we have not seen anything. There's a few people who are now walking the line,
Big 4 box
basically
looks
rushing
good.
up
To my ME2B.
And
It's frozen at top right. Hold on.
Top right, put live view 2. Bottom right, put live view 3.
And right now,
Stand by to dissolve.
over their loudspeaker system, we're hearing some kind of message.
Dissolve.
It is really actually hard to hear what that message is in the crowd of people.
And it's hard to know, Katrina.
Stand by live view 2.
Are these people some from out of town? I've heard of people coming up here from Georgia. I actually have a neighbor who knew some friends were coming up from Georgia to
Dissolve.
participate tonight. Who are these people? And do they know what they can do? They know how to push the limit, it seems, to not getting arrested. But right there, we're seeing someone, as you mentioned,
Stand by
was
ME2B.
literally almost brushing the
Live
officers.
view
It looks
2
like they
on the
could
right.
walk by.
That's fine. Just
Some
keep
of
it
the
here.
other
Just keep it here.
protesters
Lawrence,
trying
we're
to
going
talk
to come
him
out
out
to
of
you
being
eventually. We're
that
going to come out
close.
to you next.
What you're seeing last night as
Where you're
well.
at, what you're
Started
seeing.
to instigate, and then more people from the protest trying to pull it back and remind everyone, no, this is about a peaceful protest. There's a message here. This
my live
message
view
is
5.
for Breonna Taylor. This message is for change, and we do not want to detract from that. And then again, it ebbs back up, it spikes back up. Someone else tries to instigate something, whether it's turn a vibe or turn into fear. And then again, people from the protest
Dissolve.
are trying to pull everyone back and say, no, take a breather. This is not what we're about. So that's what we've been seeing all night, and that seems to be
Stand by
what
live
we're
view 3.
seeing right now. But from what we can see, not a single police officer has flinched at this.
Not moved. I don't even see them engaging verbally.
Yeah.
We know that Brianna's family is saying, please, no violence, that it does
Hey,
nothing
stand by,
to
Chad.
further
We're
their
going to come to
cause.
you next.
And
Stand by
we heard that
4
in
box.
Minneapolis, the same up
ME1.
there. Please don't do
Toss
it.
to Chad Mills.
And
Toss
so
to Chad
far,
Mills
we
when you're
haven't
done.
had any yet here tonight. But the
We're
night is
actually
still
going to go
early.
to Chad Mills first. Hold on.
We want to toss to Chad Mills right now.
Dissolve.
Chad, what are you saying?
Stand by live view
The guy on
3.
the statue. So we're made a loop around downtown. We're now standing.
Dissolve.
Your point of view is that if you're standing on the steps of Metro Hall, looking out onto Jefferson Street, here's where so much of the violence happened last night. Tonight,
Double
you can
check.
see
Check
KSP
square.
out here in full force supplementing
Put live view 2 on the
LMPD.
right.
You can see maybe
Or
behind
socials
them,
news desk. Put
the
social news desk.
LMPD special, trying to read the side of it, the response unit basically coming to give them probably some refills of CO2. They use that gas to kind of refill their little paintball guns so they can deploy those little bursts of pepper spray and tear gas. People saying it's time to go now. Looking down to my left, down toward 4th Street, you can see people running in the distance. But right here, kind of a holding pattern. KSP definitely used tear gas earlier. We got caught up in some of it.
Put live view 1 bottom
Left
right.
here, and I'd say there's several hundred of them. Kind of dispersed, still facing KSP, yelling at them, but no one really getting in their faces like we've seen in some of the other
ME2A,
areas.
put ME3 big. I'm sorry, live view 3 big.
Here right now. Although if you look on the ground, there's evidence that some of that may have happened just a little while ago. This is the area where that shooting happened last night. You can see that law enforcement not playing around tonight.
Large crowds, mostly peaceful protests. Melhorn.
Officers mixed in KSP
Yeah,
here
yeah.
as well. Seeing the graffiti, we mentioned that, but from where we are, we haven't seen a whole lot of destruction of property on this side of downtown. Of course, earlier over at the Halls of Justice, we saw some of the vandalism there We saw people lighting.
Yeah, how do we get back? We had MU1B routed in the sidebar. You want to put that back in there for them?
At the windows of the Hall of Justice,
gotcha.
breaking them in some areas. But right here at Metro Hall,
stand by, Live View 3.
Destruction at this point. We hear the protesters now
Dissolve, Live View 3.
joining together in a group, saying Black Lives Matter, telling these officers that, holding these large signs. This side has been very peaceful for the last couple of minutes. They are staying on message here tonight, speaking the name of Breonna Taylor, telling the police they want justice, telling the police why they are here to demonstrate in downtown Louisville tonight. But again, this is just one part of the protest. There are other contingencies, and depending on perhaps a couple people in each contingency, that kind of controls what ends up happening at each protest. But for here anyway, a little bit of peace for right now as they demonstrate
on your 4-box.
Message. We will
put
stand
Live View
by
1
here
bottom
and
left.
continue to monitor here, things here.
Live View 1.
The moment we'll send it back to you guys.
Mike the anchors. Dissolve.
There seems to be a couple different messages being spread throughout these protests, as there appear to be multiple groups of protesters. Earlier this evening, there was one group that was coming from Nulu. They stopped at City Hall. They had a very, very peaceful protest. They had some speakers, people were sitting down, and then whenever somebody would get agitated and try to stir the pot at the crowd, they would try and calm that person down. And they said, okay, let's disperse. Some people left, some people kept marching to the next protest, and that earlier protest was very much justice for Breonna. They were talking about, if you want to see change, vote for the correct officials that you want to be in office in the primary in June and then again in November. So they're trying to get these protesters to get involved, to see this change. And we see some other messages from protesters who seem to be more anti-police, getting in the face of these officers.
Somebody hot punch 3 small, hot punch 3.
Causing some vandalism.
I think there are
somebody take one.
Recipes, different factors at work here. Last night we had a fairly small, very small group of very non-violent, peaceful protesters in front of Metro Hall, and that just sort of like gathered.
Here's an update for everybody. LMPD says 2 arrests so far. Some small fires, including the Hall of Justice, more destruction. Quote, honestly, things are not de-escalating at this point. They are escalating.
Newspaper
says a lot of protesters are not from here.
To having this be a non-violent event. Then they started their march around the downtown area, and then they were also met up by the Black Lives Matter group that had an event at the Muhammad Ali Center, and they marched down. Another group that's committed to nonviolence, and I think that is
LMPD update banner.
Possible. What you're saying is that they've just kind of snuffed out these little elements of violence that have popped up here and there, and he said, no, we're not going to do that this time. We're getting an update now from LMPD. They tell us that there have been 2 arrests so far, and we're also hearing that the only type of vandalism that they have been dealing with so far is what we
Live View 5 top right.
Seen earlier tonight, and that is at the Hall of Justice, where there was a lot of spray painting, windows busted, and there was a small fire that actually had been started inside the double doors there, but it seemed to be a fairly small type of incident, and it probably was snuffed out fairly easily. But you know, like Lauren said, they're getting a lot of exercise. They have moved from the downtown area,
some small fires,
all the way to the hospital area.
Stand by Live View 2 full.
Blocks, probably
Dissolve Live View 2.
10.
Stand by Social News Desk.
Going off into
ME2B, Social News Desk, left. Live View 2, right.
And along Broadway. We have some up in the Metro Hall area. And then we have some down in the hospital area. So it is all over the place. And obviously is an enormous traffic problem. But other than that, no real violence to be speaking of tonight.
Right, and one of the demands that these groups of protesters are asking
for, Live View 6.
They have wanted a new police chief.
Well, Live View 1.
That Chief Steve
Live View 5, Live View 5. Dissolve.
Stand by for a live shot.
Who?
They seem very happy about that, but they
stand by Katrina's mic.
In terms of the next police chief,
Live View 5.
They want an African-American police chief. We'll touch more on that in a second, but we want to go right back out to WDRB's Katrina Helmer. Katrina.
Go.
Give me Katrina speaking.
Fallon, I just saw a man right in front of me. He's tossing water bottles right now. He just hit 2 police officers directly in the head. Right before that, we saw someone throw something. There is a fire underneath that truck that you see smoke billowing out of. They're trying to put the fire out right now. And then right before that, right after that, someone threw something else that was flammable into a crowd of police officers. So LMPD is exactly right. This is not de-escalating at this point. This is
my live view one.
across the city, and you can tell in an instant, as soon as we saw that flame go through the air, the vibe absolutely changed, the tension changed right here in this crowd. People started running back, and then there were a very few that were running forward and tossing more debris, water bottles, straight into that line of police officers.
Mary, can you come to the control room, please? Mary, control room.
Give me a banner. Yeah. It's in my 4-box.
Okay. Well, now we're seeing more canisters being sent out here with tear gas into the crowd. And we're also seeing one officer got hit.
You just got to
by a water bottle. That and a fireworks went into the officers. And when they knew that was going to explode and possibly cause them to be injured, that's when they responded with a pelting of some tear gas canisters and pepper spray.
Stay where you are. Okay.
And they are not going to put up with fireworks going off in the midst of those officers.
Those fireworks came from the crowd. We're seeing more and more stuff being thrown from the crowd. And now that popping sound, those are pellets coming from police officers.
At this point, the crowd has moved way back. They did a good job of getting them to get back, maybe 100 yards or more. They're back to all the way down to 6th Street now.
Protest escalating.
protest escalating.
So, temporarily dispersed, but will they leave? Or will they gather again and approach this police line at 5th and
On that
Jefferson
4-box on the bottom right,
Hall?
put social news days.
Time will tell here because it is early. And unless they can get these people to go home, I can't see any way that they won't reformulate in some fashion. What do you think, Katrina?
I would agree with
It doesn't matter.
We're trying to keep track of all of our group members here. I got eyes on every one of our group. And
I don't know that I want to take live one because I don't want to give people ideas about coming here, you know?
Of baking soda solution strategically placed throughout the city, and that's to help people with the effects of tear gas. And behind us right now, all you can hear are expletives at this point. This crowd is very intense. This crowd is not calming down. Even if they're just a few less compared to what we saw much earlier, they're not backing down. But we have not seen that line of police officers
dissolve.
move. Even when that fire was launched straight into that line of officers, they got themselves together, they figured out what it was, they put the fire out from underneath the truck,
They say
and then
they do not use rubber bullets, they use pepper balls. Pepper balls. So if you're
the
referring to what they're
protesters, they
shooting,
stayed back
it's
there.
pepper balls.
We have seen them firing those pellets, those pepper balls, but we have not seen them go one-on-one with any of the protesters.
I
At
think
least from
somebody
this
said that.
location, we know that is not the case all around the city. But at least from this location now, that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, they know they have the fire power.
Stand by,
Stand
4-box.
and back them off.
This is like the Walking
But here
fucking
comes the
dead,
crowd
you guys.
again. They're starting
Dissolve.
to move back up.
Just like breaking
They're coming
out.
again from just down the street here
job of
on 6th and
identifying some of these
Jefferson, and
locations.
We're trying, but they move so
back up
fast, we don't know. So I just told.
who are just
When we get back to the
inside of
anchors,
5th
I will
and
remind
Jefferson.
everybody, let
So,
me know where you're at the top of your line.
There's only
Verbally
about
say
it.
75
I got
people
you.
right now. But as it gets a little
it's
larger,
great, but I have no
that's when
idea
they
where the
seem
hell
to
these
want to
people
move a
are.
little closer.
I'll let them know.
You're right, and you
Once
talk
we get back
about
to the anchors, I'll let them all know.
police knowing
Yeah,
that
I'll
they
tell
have the
them.
manpower. They have extra manpower.
Hey, crews in the
right now
field,
because
whenever
as
we
we
come
said,
to you live, I need you to
agreed today.
Stand by live
say
view
out
5.
loud where you are. I need a location.
Everyone had to
for the
sign
car.
off.
Dissolve live view 5.
Kentucky State Police
So
troopers
verbally
are
say
here in
your
town
location.
to support
You guys are doing
LSD.
great.
Where they're
Stay safe.
stationed, we don't know. Police obviously don't want anyone to know how many officers they have here, how many vehicles they have.
Yeah.
But
Thank you, Rod.
that is the goal for them, to simply stay in line, have a unified front, LMPD and state troopers.
I think they know once it gets out of control, it's hard to get it back in control. It happened in Minneapolis. Once they broke the barrier and went into the 3rd precinct there and got it on fire, there was nothing to do except evacuate officers. Here we go again. They're moving forward, and officers are responding right now fireworks, water bottles being tossed at the officers. 4, 5 of them, 6. They're going at a rapid pace right now at the officers with water bottles. We saw what looked like a firework going into the officers, but it did not explode. And they have to be concerned about that. Some projectiles coming in there, fireworks exploding near them could hurt them. And right now, that's not happening. It's mostly just water bottles.
Say my $4.
From what we can see here. And now they're starting to. Yep.
Just into the crowd, so you see them kind of disperse again. And now with a jug of milk, they just
ME2B.
and now we're just
Put the Live U5 on the left.
Towards the crowd, they're ducking down. They're actually using the signs to try and shield themselves from those pepper balls. They want those to hit at the ground because then they kind of explode and release that, and that's how that works. Oh,
all right, we're gonna back
up.
Hit in my foot with one of those. Oh God! We're gonna back up.
Say my Live U5. Dissolve Live U5.
Yeah, I just got hit by one.
Are you okay?
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Didn't cut me, did it? We're okay. We're good. We're fine.
Backing up to the side.
Should we push out that they got hit by pepper balls?
So that we can still have a view. And actually, we're seeing more protesters too come away from that, so that they can try and regroup.
Is my hair okay? Am I bleeding?
Milk in someone's eye. It helps with the stinging effect. And this pepper, I'm telling you, it stings when it hits you, but then you feel the effect after.
It's almost like getting some ghost pepper or something in your eye after you've eaten some of that hot salsa.
You know, Mark
just stays there.
It stings, it does.
Can we keep them from talking, please?
That was a flashbang that actually hit the corner of the Hall of Justice as it came around. That was volleyed from police.
We really are looking, Katrina, at just about 20 people that are up there holding their signs and their banners in front of them, trying to make a statement to police, and they're not even shouting right now.
Hey, Lawrence and Doug, whenever we do come to you,
See Doug.
there's obviously a stark
What's his
difference
name?
between what you're dealing
Janitor
with
Doug.
and what they're doing downtown. So I think it's important to say that and verbalize that.
Instigating a lot more. And you see
We'll
that
get to you in a little bit, though.
they actually send them out, and it
They turn around, there's Richard throwing stuff.
and takes their position.
And one thing we can tell you, behind this crowd, when you look back at 6th and Jefferson, it is crowded. There are a lot of people who have not left the scene. They might not be up there challenging that front line of officers.
But they're not leaving.
There are hundreds.
Social news desk.
Get a good estimate, it would be 300-400
Put it on the
people in my line of
ME2B.
sight right now
Social news
that are
desk on
still
the
here
right.
in the area and could reach.
Dissolve.
Are you good if we come out to you
I'm
guys?
seeing right now, we can go ahead and spin around. Up in that flashbang,
Okay.
there's a fire
I'll have
started.
them toss.
And that was one of the issues that they had last night as well.
Oh,
They
there
were
goes
starting
fire.
fires, small fires in trash can bins. And so crews were just having to hop from one spot to the other to try and put out a fire before it got any worse. And that was a bang earlier right in front of the police line that let out some smoke.
Chad Mills.
And
Dissolve Live U5. Dissolve Live U5. Dissolve Live U5.
Oh my gosh.
they're throwing it back into the police lines.
You guys are doing
And they're pushing back at this point because the smoke is so thick.
This is where the most activity is right now, it seems like.
Keep going. Good job, guys.
Protest escalate.
They're throwing it back into the police lines, and then they're running. That smoke is really, really difficult for police to see. So you can see their flashlights actually trying to shine through. They're looking through the smoke to see who might be left in that crowd. And actually, the entire crowd has backed up at this point. But they're now throwing, are those firecrackers, and they're just popping in the sky. And there's another flash. That flashbang just went right in front of that group.
Oh, that was huge!
Oh my God, Weinberg!
Is everyone all right? Is our crew all right? All right, we're good. Our crew's
Can we
good.
take the
We're back
microphone away
up
from
at
him,
the
please?
corner so we can get on the side.
That was a mortar shell that did not go in a tube, and I think that was set off by the protesters.
Dissolve.
But it was loud. Their fireworks, their bottle rockets,
Yeah.
are no match for what police are sending back right now.
Stand by Live
And
U5
they
full.
really have backed off. But
They really
again,
backed
We'll get there. I just don't want to move
Yes,
too fast.
That's fine.
they're not leaving.
I'm just trying to tell you what looks good.
Gotcha.
So it doesn't
to inch forward, it gets really tense.
Dissolve Live View 5.
Still
my ME2A with Live View 5 in the big.
And they get pushed back.
What's in top right?
Live View 1 top right.
So at this point, yeah, I don't see anyone in that street. And with what you were saying earlier about what it is that's getting tossed back and forth, it's almost hard to tell. People are, whatever police are tossing out into the crowd, police are picking up.
Update that so it's got a locator on it, the Jefferson Square.
The protesters, yeah.
This banner is going to get an update with the locator Millhorn.
So it's hard to tell when something
Should be there.
or when something starts to spray, actually which side it came from.
A lot of the protesters here tonight have not engaged. They have not gotten up close. They were handing out water bottles. They have a cause. They're not trying to be violent. It's just those that are egging on police with fireworks, with water bottles, and getting up within 10 yards that has caused the conflict here tonight.
ME2B,
and also some state
with social news desk on the right. I think it is. Dissolve. Semi Live View 3. And
So police are moving on our
Dissolve.
position here, which is 4th and Jefferson Streets. Just moments ago, a very dangerous situation. We witnessed it right
Put Live View 3 on the right.
A civilian vehicle, best we could tell, that was reversing through the crowd at a high rate. I'd say maybe 25, 30 miles per hour.
Ask Jonathan if he can turn Scott's mic down a little bit, please.
Some of them
Scott's mic down a little bit,
almost
please.
reminded you
Just
of
turn
that
it down a little.
situation in Charlottesville, Virginia, a couple years ago that took the life of a young woman in the middle of that white supremacy rally. A dangerous situation that it could have been. Now we're hearing reports that no one was hit by that car.
Protest escalating 4th and Jefferson.
Scott's mic down just a little. They are firing some tear gas.
Put the social news desk on the
down
left.
toward this area. We are standing just to the side of 4th Street Live. If you look down there, you can see that line of police. They have 2 armored units. They are keeping people at bay. Every couple of minutes, the people will move back toward the line, try to provoke the police, but then they will fire the tear gas canisters and those little balls of smoke, the smoke balls, LMPD calls them, to bring people back. And you see the people rush back, they regroup, then they head back toward the officers.
Guys, we're not going to reset. We're not going to do an 11 o'clock
situation here.
Yeah, we're just
Important to note that many of the roads are not closed. Some of them are, but many are open to traffic. You have vehicles going through some of these crowds. Now, we haven't witnessed something like that, someone speeding through a crowd before. That was the first time we've seen that personally. Could have been a dangerous situation, but from what we're seeing, no one was necessarily hit by that car, or at least
Put Live View 2 on the left.
car. But we are going to stand by here. Again, we are at 4th and Jefferson Streets. We're looking over at 4th Street Live to our left. Hope if you show 4th Street Live real quick. We were looking over there wondering if people might try to go into 4th Street Live. And we walked over there, maybe a little bit of graffiti, but no damage that we could tell over at 4th Street Live. It looks like people were more focused toward Metro Hall on this side of town.
Dissolve.
But we will keep monitoring.
Lose the locator.
As the protesters start to regroup here, we will stay with them and bring you more. There's more to report. Guys.
Mike.
Our Chad Mills coming to us live from downtown with what's been happening there. He told us apparently a car somehow got into all of this and was zipping
my Live
down
View
the street.
2.
Fortunately, no one injured there.
Dissolve Live View 2.
You know, police are telling us that
Lawrence,
one
I'm
of the fires
try to
in the
get
trash
to
can
you
like
next. I'm
we
going to
saw
try
a
to get
number
to
of
you
those
next,
last night.
Lawrence.
And police are telling us
Right
there are
now,
a number of fires
Stand by
in
Emmy 1B.
the city, but you know, again, very small. They're put out almost as quickly as they're lit, and you just wonder at how long these protesters are going to continue to try to poke the bear.
With Live View 5 big.
Get ready for a large fire.
We have flashbangs, we have tear gas.
Semi ME2B.
No match for what
Live View 5 on the right.
So far, thank God, no one has pulled a gun out.
Do we have a locator for when we take that full?
But it just continues to go and go and go, and you wonder.
Stand by Live View.
Thinking, hey, we are actually committed to this cause.
He's on Baxter
we
Avenue
want to make
now.
a presence. We want to get a message across, and we're not going to just leave.
They're no
We're going to stay here and show
Stand by Live.
And compared to last
Dissolve.
night, that crowd was
Stand by Live View 5. Do we have a locator for Live View 5?
Because everyone is so spread out, but LMPD telling us that this is a
Iris
significantly
up. Live View. Stand by Live View 2. Live View 2.
amount of people
Dissolve Live
out
View 2.
doing and protesting out there tonight. So they're saying it's very, very challenging because everyone is so spread out. So they're having a difficult time. We got that update
Live
from
View
them
5.
around 10:30. They're also saying
Dissolve.
a lot of these protesters don't live
See my Live View 5.
refugees left.
Jonathan.
And come together, and that is an issue that officials were talking about earlier today about protesters coming into our
Dissolve
city.
Live View 5.
You can see a fire right there in downtown Louisville. It looks like another trash can.
Lose the banner.
Lose the banner, just live.
Destroying the city.
Yeah, 'cause that makes it look like
And then
Lose
I
the
wonder,
banner.
How does this bring justice for Breonna Taylor? Because that's what this really is all about from some of the protesters earlier today,
by
talking
ME2B.
about what they want and what the family of Breonna
Dissolve.
Taylor wants.
And these protesters have moved quite a bit. Yeah, you're saying that there are a
My
large
Live
numbers.
View
It's hard
5.
to imagine
Dissolve.
that there are really that many. But LMPD was telling us it was still a couple of hours ago. They were saying they were estimating the crowd in about 1,300 or so, which was
Live View 6 on the
significantly
left.
bigger than at its biggest point last night. We're looking
Dissolve.
at 6th and Market with the fire that you just saw right there. Our Lawrence Smith,
Stand by.
he's getting more steps.
Stand by
and
Live
this
View 2.
crowd, part of it has now made its way to the
Someone a hot punch
Highlands,
Live View
it
2 on
appears.
the
He
left.
is moving along Baxter Avenue. They're moving through that area. So
Take.
we are really spreading out all over, and you continue.
Bring up Live View 2.
Is the end game here? What are we doing? Are we gradually just saying this is about it, or
Lose the locator.
how long
Sorry.
is this going to continue? We're going to send it to our Lawrence
To my Live View
Smith
2.
right now, who has
Dissolve Live View
is,
2.
approaching the Highlands area. Lawrence.
Highlands banner. Or Lawrence speaking. Lawrence
Hi, David.
speaking.
Yeah, we've come to the end of Broadway, and now we're heading north on Bardstown Road. We just passed Highland Avenue, and the march
This fucker has walked all the way to the
I must
Highlands.
say, this is a
From
very,
Frankfurt.
very different
From
experience than what
Hey, let's
we're
get
seeing
that $2.
downtown right now. This is a peaceful
I just-
march.
is it-
In fact, one of the
Okay.
organizers
I get it.
earlier with a bullhorn walked up and down the line and
Maybe
said, "This is
Put
a
Live View 3
not
on the left.
valid protest." Said that
Alright, stand by
several
4
times.
box ME1B.
And he also said if you can't follow the rules,
Lose the
go home.
locator.
So this
Dissolve.
is a much different protest than what
Looting
we're seeing
stores now.
Where?
in the downtown area.
Stand by
I
Live
would
View 3.
suspect
Shit, they did smash
that
that.
many
They
of these
smashed that
people
window.
are
Stand by
local.
social news desk. His social
They're
news desk is
chanting
still locked
Breonna
up.
Taylor's name.
Hey, Jen, can
Re-
you
refresh the social news
S&D?
desk one more time.
But they're also, amazingly, being very polite. In fact, one person offered us some hand sanitizer. So that's
Stand by.
what kind of crowd this is. Right now we're walking towards
We'll keep this here.
down Bardstown Road.
We got a wide variety of different shots. On the top left,
And
put
again,
Live
I
View
don't
6.
know exactly where we're heading, where this will stop. Again, we have seen
Yeah.
no police presence.
okay.
It seems that police are content to let these people march along this road without
Chad Mills.
interference. We've seen no blue lights
Stand by Live
at
View
all.
3.
A much different experience here than
Stand by.
what Chad Mills is experiencing
Dissolve Live View
in the
3.
downtown core. Let's talk to Chad right now.
Give me
Go,
Chad
Chad, go.
speaking. Do we have a locator for this?
I had just mentioned that 4th Street Live, no one was over here. That has changed within the past couple of minutes. I'm
4th
going to
Street
tell you
Live.
something real quick because police are likely on the way. Just moments ago, we saw the window of this T-Mobile store just next to 4th Street Live smashed. You can see some phones, some equipment there on the ground. You can hear
ME2B.
glass shattering, trash
Social
cans
news desk
being
on the
overturned.
right.
It seems like the trash cans were not removed from this street, so people are knocking them over, using whatever they can find to
That
smash
social news desk is
windows.
so far
we
behind.
have trash cans just in front of us being lit by protesters right now.
ME2A
Plants have been
puts,
toppled. People are using the
Live
potted
View 3
plants
big.
to smash the windows as well. We're going to stand back and watch as they light this garbage.
On the
right
bottom right,
outside
put
out of the moon,
Live View
right
6.
in 4th Street Live.
windows smashed.
We saw people going in the opposite direction as well with trash cans. We saw the window
Dissolve.
of 5th Street Bank.
Live
Someone
View
had
1
thrown
is
a cinder block
legit.
through it.
Like,
That had already been taped off, so that might have been from a little while ago.
By
But
himself,
clearly
by the way.
protesters trying to make their mark.
I do 6.
They are also burning a Confederate flag right now. Not sure where that came from, but that's evoking some cheers from the crowd right now as they burn this Confederate flag right in the middle of 4th Street Live.
Nice shot, guys. That 4 bucks is
Scanning
really,
some of the
really good.
businesses here. Not all of them have been hit. Looking over at Hard Rock
I kinda like
Cafe,
showing the
windows
variety,
there
but
look fine.
this matches
And
as
the
well.
T-Mobile store in the Fifth Third Bank. from what we've seen so far. More trash cans off in the distance.
See my live view
Outside of the
3
Brazilian
full.
Steakhouse, we can see a puff of flame coming up from it as well, as this group of protesters kind of leaves its mark here in 4th Street Live. Guys.
Mike the Anchors, Mike the Anchors.
All right, Chad, thank you. And he just showed us some
ME3B, live view 3 full.
Smashed and protesters breaking that door and window and getting inside there. We also are seeing
my 4-box.
On 4th Street Live,
This is the 4-box.
what appears to be decorative
Dissolve.
folding barrels.
On the top left,
Protesters
put
lighting those on fire.
social news desk.
Again, is saying that many of these people are not from Louisville and that they are determined to create division in the community. And they're saying that these protesters
we will eventually come out to you guys right now.
they're well equipped and they're bringing their own guns, bats, shields, and they're ready to set fires, which we have seen. And they said they have fireworks as well, which we saw in Katrina's shot with Scott Reynolds, and they were saying that protesters threw some type of firework at police officers and also threw I guess what appeared to be a water bottle at an officer's head, and then the officers throwing tear gas at them, and the protesters taking that and tossing it back at them. So, you know, at sometimes the sights and sounds, it's all
live view 5.
And
live view 5 audio.
A tale of two protests at this point as well. In downtown, we're seeing a lot of violence, fires. We saw the T-Mobile store there vandalized. We've heard that WHS TV on Chestnut has had its windows smashed. Other windows have been smashed downtown, and police have been responding to these
live view
protesters.
2 on the left.
And then we have the people who have made their way out into the Highlands who appear to be very non-violent. And they are chanting and wanting justice, obviously, and being very vocal and passionate.
That's the Highlands still.
We're seeing these other people do downtown. You wonder if perhaps the people, like you were saying,
can we have a?
It's my live view 2 full. Dissolve live view 2.
People at least are from out of town who are downtown, and the people who are in the Highlands maybe are more locals. But then we also just saw a shot a little while ago of Broadway. I believe there is actually traffic moving there, and that's probably about. I would say 6 or 7 blocks from where you were seeing this. So that's a different kind of development there, where things seem to be fairly calm along Broadway. We want to go back to our Lawrence Smith, who's been making his way out to the Highlands now. What's going on there, Lawrence? What's the latest?
Dissolve him. Lawrence Smith speaking.
We encountered our first police
live view 2, put
Highlands area
live view 6 on the right. On ME2B.
A number of police cruisers, police in riot gear. But there's been no confrontation. You see the protesters kind of passing by with their hands up, saying, hands up, don't shoot. Police are not saying anything.
All right, Matt's going to take over for a minute.
They're allowing the crowd to pass by, and they're doing that. Some are stopping to yell at police.